The truth hidden inside Naomi Judd's autopsy report stopped even seasoned investigators in their tracks. What was quietly documented after her death reveals the public was never meant to focus on. As fragments of that report surfaced, they painted a far more haunting picture than anyone expected. Don't be shocked to learn this truth. On the morning of April 30th, 2022, the country music world was shaken by the sudden and tragic death of Naomi Judd, one half of the legendary duo, the Judds. Naomi, who was 76 years old, was found unresponsive inside her home in Franklin, Tennessee, a quiet community just south of Nashville, where she had lived for many years. Family members discovered her after she had sustained a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head, prompting an immediate emergency response. Emergency medical services were called to the residence without delay. Paramedics arrived and provided urgent medical attention before transporting Naomi to Williamson Medical Center, the nearest hospital equipped to handle critical trauma cases. Despite these efforts, she was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. News of her passing spread rapidly, stunning fans and fellow artists alike, particularly because it came just one day before she and her daughters were scheduled to be inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. An autopsy was conducted by the Nashville Area Medical Examiner under the jurisdiction of Williamson County to determine the precise cause and manner of death. According to the official findings, the gunshot wound entered through the right side of Naomi Judd's scalp and perforated into her skull, resulting in catastrophic injury. Based on the medical evidence and the circumstances surrounding the incident, the examiner's office ruled the manner of death as suicide. These findings confirmed what family members would later publicly acknowledge: that Naomi Judd had been battling severe mental health challenges for many years. Although she was widely admired for her warmth, humor, and resilience in public life, she had spoken candidly about her long struggle with depression and anxiety, describing it as an invisible illness that followed her even at the height of her fame. Her death underscored the devastating reality that mental illness can persist regardless of success, love, or legacy. Let's clarify this detail more clearly. During the investigation into Naomi Judd's death, authorities carefully documented the physical evidence found at the scene, following standard forensic and medical examiner procedures. Investigators reported locating a firearm in close proximity to her body, along with a written note that contained suicidal connotations. Both items were formally logged and referenced in the official autopsy and investigative records, forming a critical part of the factual basis used to determine the manner of death. The presence of the weapon was consistent with the fatal injury later confirmed by the medical examiner. Its location and condition were assessed as part of the scene evaluation, ensuring that no signs of third-party involvement or struggle were evident. Law enforcement and forensic personnel followed established protocols to secure, photograph, and catalog the firearm before it was removed from the scene for further examination. These steps were necessary to preserve the integrity of the evidence and support an accurate medical and legal conclusion. Equally significant was the discovery of the note near Naomi Judd's body. While the full contents of the note were not released publicly, official documents described it as containing language indicative of suicidal intent. The note was treated as a key piece of objective evidence, providing contextual insight into her state of mind at the time of her death. Investigators examined its placement, condition, and relevance alongside other physical and medical findings to ensure consistency across all aspects of the case. Both the firearm and the note were explicitly mentioned in the medical examiner's summary, underscoring their importance in the final determination. The documentation of these items helped corroborate the autopsy results and supported the ruling regarding the manner of death. In forensic investigations, such physical evidence plays a crucial role in distinguishing between accidental, natural, homicidal, or self-inflicted causes, and in this case, the findings aligned with the medical conclusions. The autopsy report concerning Naomi Judd's death included a detailed summary of her mental and medical history, drawing on information provided by family members as well as existing medical records. According to the report, Judd had a significant and well-documented history of mental health struggles that spanned many years. These included diagnoses of anxiety and major depressive disorder, as well as bipolar disorder, conditions that had required ongoing treatment and management throughout her adult life. Naomi Judd had spoken publicly on several occasions about the severity of her mental illness, often emphasizing that it was not situational sadness, but a chronic, debilitating condition. The autopsy report reflected this long-term reality, noting that her mental health challenges were persistent rather than episodic. Medical records referenced in the report indicated that she had previously experienced suicidal ideations, an important factor considered by the medical examiner when evaluating the circumstances surrounding her death. In addition to her psychiatric history, the report outlined multiple serious physical health conditions for which Judd had received medical care. Among these was chronic idiopathic pneumonitis, a rare inflammatory lung disease that can cause breathing difficulties, fatigue, and a reduced quality of life. She was also documented as having hypertension, a condition requiring careful monitoring due to its cardiovascular risks. The report further noted her history of hepatitis C, a viral infection that can lead to long-term liver complications, as well as hypothyroidism, a disorder affecting the thyroid gland that can contribute to fatigue, mood changes, and metabolic issues if not properly managed. The medical examiner's summary indicated that the interaction between her physical illnesses and her mental health struggles may have compounded her overall distress. Chronic medical conditions are known to place additional psychological strain on patients, particularly when symptoms are persistent or progressive. The report also referenced recent life stressors in the period leading up to her death, although specific details were not disclosed publicly. These stressors were considered relevant in understanding her mental state during her final days. As part of the post-mortem examination into Naomi Judd's death, a comprehensive toxicology analysis was conducted to identify any substances present in her system at the time she died. The results of this analysis were formally included in the autopsy report and provided additional medical context rather than altering the ultimate cause of death determination. According to the toxicology findings, Judd had multiple prescription medications in her system. These drugs were consistent with medications commonly prescribed for the treatment of serious and chronic health conditions she had been managing for years. The report indicated the presence of prescriptions associated with depression and bipolar disorder, as well as medications used to address post-traumatic stress disorder, insomnia, seizure-related conditions, and other medical concerns. All substances identified were described as prescribed medications rather than unauthorized or unknown compounds. Importantly, the toxicology report did not identify any illicit or illegal drugs. No substances such as narcotics, stimulants, or recreational drugs were listed in the official findings. This distinction was significant in the medical examiner's assessment, as it clarified that substance abuse or illegal drug use did not play a role in the circumstances surrounding her death. The medications found were consistent with her documented medical and psychiatric history and aligned with treatments she had reportedly been receiving under medical supervision. While the presence of multiple prescriptions was carefully noted, the autopsy report made clear that these substances were not identified as the primary cause of death. There was no indication that medication toxicity, overdose, or adverse drug interaction was responsible for the fatal outcome. Instead, the medical examiner explicitly stated that the cause of death remained the gunshot wound, and the manner of death was determined independently of the toxicology results. The inclusion of toxicology findings served a contextual purpose, offering a fuller picture of Judd's health status at the time of her death. Such analyses are standard procedure in autopsies, particularly in cases involving complex medical histories. In this instance, the results reinforced the conclusion that her death was not caused by drugs or chemical substances, but by the physical injury already documented. One of the most poignant aspects of Naomi Judd's death was its timing in relation to a major career milestone that was meant to celebrate her life's work. Naomi died on April 30th, 2022, just one day before she and her daughter, Naomi Judd, were scheduled to be inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in Nashville, Tennessee. This induction was intended to honor the Judds, one of the most successful and influential duos in country music history, whose impact on the genre spanned decades. The Hall of Fame ceremony was expected to be a deeply emotional but celebratory moment, recognizing Naomi's role not only as a performer, but also as a songwriter, mentor, and driving creative force behind the duo's success. For fans and industry peers, the induction symbolized a full-circle moment, acknowledgement from the highest institution in country music for a career that helped define an era. Instead, the event became overshadowed by tragedy, transforming what should have been a joyful recognition into a moment of collective mourning. The autopsy findings formally confirmed Naomi Judd's date of death as April 30th, 2022, anchoring the timeline of events with medical certainty. This confirmation aligned with emergency response records and public reports that emerged in the immediate aftermath of her passing. The proximity of her death to the induction ceremony drew widespread attention as it sharply contrasted public perceptions of success and celebration with the private reality of her long-standing mental health struggles. In the hours following the announcement of her death, the country music community responded with shock and grief. Many artists, fans, and commentators remarked on the heartbreaking irony that Naomi did not live to witness the formal honor of her legacy. Naomi Judd ultimately proceeded with the induction ceremony, delivering a moving speech that acknowledged both the immense loss and her mother's enduring influence on her life and career. After Naomi Judd's autopsy report was publicly released in late August 2022, her family responded with carefully worded statements aimed at providing context, compassion, and clarity surrounding the medical examiner's findings. Rather than disputing the conclusions of the report, family members emphasized that Naomi's death must be understood through the lens of long-term mental illness, which they repeatedly described as a serious and life-altering disease. In their statements, the family explained that Naomi had been receiving treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder and bipolar disorder, conditions that profoundly affected her daily life despite years of medical care and personal effort. They stressed that she fought tirelessly to manage her illnesses, engaging in treatment, therapy, and ongoing medical support. By framing her struggles as a medical condition rather than a personal failing, the family sought to counter stigma and encourage broader public understanding of mental health disorders. The release of the autopsy also triggered a renewed wave of public attention, media coverage, and discussion, much of it intensely personal. While many fans expressed sympathy and support, the family raised concerns about the potential harm caused by the release of highly detailed investigative materials. In response, they pursued legal action to request that certain death investigation records be sealed, including law enforcement interviews, audio recordings, photographs, and scene documentation. According to court filings and public statements, the family argued that the disclosure of graphic or deeply personal materials would cause them severe emotional distress and lasting trauma. They emphasized that such records went beyond the public's need for factual understanding and risked sensationalizing Naomi Judd's death. The legal request was framed not as an attempt to obscure the truth, but as an effort to protect the dignity of Naomi's memory and the emotional well-being of surviving family members. The case sparked broader debate about public access to death investigation records, especially in cases involving public figures. Mental health advocates and legal experts weighed in, noting the tension between transparency laws and the rights of families to grieve privately. Many supporters echoed the family's position, arguing that detailed recordings and images offered little public benefit while inflicting real harm. What do you think about Naomi Judd's death? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.